guys, and welcome back to my channel. So we've been dealing with polyamory for a while, and I wanted to take like a turn from polyamory and get us back to psychology itself. So I wanted to touch upon the character structures by Reich, later included in the work of Lowen, as well in the core energetics, and John Pierakos as well in the bioenergetics. So we're going to start from the beginning. So we're going to go from the earliest traumas and the earliest character structure, which is a schizoid character structure, or the first structure. They also call this structure the dreamer or the unwanted child. The trauma with this child starts from the early age, as we mentioned in the name itself, the unwanted child. So basically, the trauma can start from the time when the baby is still in the womb, up to a couple of I think there's a disagreement here, but up to around a year and a half, while baby is still completely relying on the mother and can't do anything without the mother, just basically cry, and that's it. So we're basically, when we're talking about schizoid character defense, as we call it in Croatian, for example, it's because I went to the school in Croatia, and I have a tough time translating all this material, but it was funny for me to realize that we called it a character defense, which I think it's more suitable, because it is a structure, obviously, but is a structure developed as defense against something that was happening to the baby. The baby can feel all the emotions that mother feels as well, through the placenta. So basically there was a lot of different research connected to this, and even in the Nazi Germany as well, some of the I can't even, it's like it was awful, but basically what they were trying to do is trying to see whether a human touch and human care is more important than baby being fed and changed. And what they realized is, without a human touch, because we're that kind of species, human baby can't thrive. So let me give you some examples of what can happen in a very early childhood. So we're talking about time before the baby is born. So I don't know, from the conception up to the point where the baby is born, and what can influence the baby in this regard. Obviously, first thing that you probably think about is alcohol, drugs, drug abuse. Obviously, the baby's getting some of this through placenta as well. There was instances where the baby was practically born addicted to alcohol as well, because it was getting alcohol through the placenta. And obviously, in a way, baby just considers as an attack from the outside. So it's like just something dangerous happening for my health, because in a way the instinct in the baby is more than we have for survival, because it's crucial. It's the only worry of a fetus is the survival itself, because it doesn't have any other needs. It just has the need to survive and grow and to develop into the child. So that can be one of the instances. Then another one is war. Like, a lot of babies are basically growing up in war times, and the mother is feeling anxious, is feeling worried. And all these emotions are also, the baby feels them. The baby feels them with the mother. And what happens is, like, the baby gets to this idea that the world is this unwelcoming, cold, dangerous place. And the only way to actually avoid feeling all these feelings is to shut down. It's to run away, basically, from herself and from her physical body. It's like an escape from what is happening, because I can't physically move. I'm connected to a mother, I am inside of her womb, or later I you know, I'm a small baby, so I can't choose where I'm gonna be. So the only thing I can do is to escape from myself, basically. Another example is the unwanted child. So sometimes mothers are forced to bear a child that they don't want, either by the laws of the country or by the family, or someone else doesn't want the child. Sometimes the father doesn't really want to be a father. Sometimes there is domestic violence. So basically baby can feel all of it. Mother can be depressed. So basically what happens is the baby is trying to pull away from all of this. Later on, when the baby is born, the birth itself can be traumatic. So it can be, in a way, a traumatic experience for both a mother and the baby. The baby can be separated from the mother because of disease or something. And, you know, that first contact is very important. So the baby kind of starts thinking of the world as a dangerous and frightening place where, you know, like, she doesn't want to be. In a way, it can lead so far to the baby wanting not to be born at all. And you're thinking, like, how can a baby think this? They don't think this, they feel this. And that's the dangerous part about this first character structure and first trauma, because it can't be expressed with words. So if you go to see your therapist and you talk with them about this, there's not going to be any words. It's going to be more like pictures and feelings and the things that we can't really explore by logic. That's why the core energetics and different types of therapy where body and feeling is more explored is very beneficial, because babies don't speak and they don't have the same logic that we have once our brain gets to the point where we can really think, especially if we are talking about the pre-birth time. So basically the trauma here, the biggest trauma where we can sum it up to, is that the baby wasn't allowed the right to exist in a safe way. So the reasons, as I've said, can be different, but it comes to the same point where a baby is not allowed to be. And if we go to therapy with this person, this is what we need to work on, is at the planet Earth, and everyone here is welcoming to this adult now, and that they have the right to be, and for those basic needs, you know, to be fed, to feel safe, to be taken care of, to be held. And it's gonna take a while because these people don't trust anyone, and you can't blame them because the trauma was so severe, and they felt like nobody wants them here. So how are you gonna recognize, because we're talking about Reich here. So he figured out the character structures by the looks of the body. So he could see that certain people with similar traumas have similar body types. That's how the birth of the character structure began, by observing people and the patterns. So how would you recognize a schizoid structure? So we were talking about how this child was trying to run away from itself. In spiritual level, that can be like the soul didn't really get into the body completely. It wasn't really get incarnated into the physical being. So it's like this person is always floating somewhere. So you can see them as tall and thin. You can also see that the body is still like a child's body. They have narrow, thin feet. The muscles are very soft. They're not very muscular. Like even if they go to gym, it's really hard for them to get proper muscles. You can see their veins clearly on their body. It always feels like one side of the body is different from the other. It's like one shoulder is down, the other one is up, or it feels like that one of their legs is longer and one is shorter. It feels almost like when the soul entered the body, it entered in it sideways, kind of like, you know, in a wrong manner. It feels like the parts of their body are not connected, so they can have different, it's like someone assembled them from different pieces of the body as well, because some of the body developed, the other ones stayed. They're very not flexible, so when they go to yoga, they lack flexibility because they don't really have that proper connection to the body. If you look into their eyes, it's like there's no one there. It's like there's always somewhere away. It's like nobody's home, if you know what I mean. When they breathe really shallow. It's like they really don't want to connect with the body because that's where all the terror is held. Their hips can be like small, like childish. You can recognize that in a lot of men. In the way they speak, you can recognize that they never say I am, or rarely they have an issue with saying I am because they never felt like they were, right? It's like they were never welcomed to this world. And the way that they defend against everything else is they become very intellectual. So you're going to be seeing a lot of smart people with this trauma, a lot of intellectual people. The trouble is when they need to start connecting with the emotions, it's where they have issue, really. They always think everything is their fault. So if mother is under stress, they're like, oh, it must be me that did something. And it's like, I don't have the clear boundaries with other people because I am not aware of myself. In order to really have the proper boundaries, you need to be aware of yourself first. Let's talk what's healing for this trauma. So the healing thing for this trauma is contact. This is what they were lacking. They only got in the beginning a lot of bad contact, and this is what they fear. So it's going to be very scary for them to get in contact with people, and that's why it's very important to go to a therapist, because you want to avoid any more disappointment, because that's going to be what's going to be fueling this trauma. So through contact is where you start really healing, and through feeling like I belong here, I am welcomed to this place, I am welcome to the planet Earth. This is my tribe, this is who I am human, I am allowed to be here. The other thing is something that they might not be aware of, is the self-hate problem. Because what happens, we weren't talking actually, but I was talking about this in other things that I did, is we never blame the mother. So when we were children, like, because we are so dependent on our parents, we always think that there is something wrong with us. So at the bottom of this character structure is self-hate. And the feeling that there must be something wrong with me, that my parents didn't want me, or that I felt this way, or that the world is a dangerous place because there's something wrong with me. And this needs to be addressed as well. So this needs to be something that we are going to work on in the long term, is to bring that self-awareness of self-hate, because this is something that's fueling a lot of bad things happening in our lives. And it needs to be something that needs to be clear out. And the place for self-love fueled more than the self-hate. It's like the things that really, really mess us up are the things that we are not aware of. And in this instance would be that self-hate. What is really good, what is a gift with this character structure, is because every character structure has a gift. So you can be an amazing artist with this character structure, because in a way you're still connected to the spirit world, and you are getting a lot of resources from there, your imagination is very, you know, high and strong, you can be a very intellectual person as well. So whatever you choose to do, they can have an amazing memory, and it's something they swim in really well, the intellectual world, whatever they choose to do. So basically, we cannot progress very far if our basic needs, basic survival needs are not met. So if you recognize yourself in this character structure, there are ways to amend this and to really basically fix that bad start in your life. Sometimes it's not even about your parents. You might have had a bad luck to be born during the times of war. Your birth might have been very hard, and you might have been, you know, separated from your mother, which happened to me, for example. I was separated from my mother for a couple of days. She couldn't even see me. I was born sick, and it probably was traumatic for me as a young baby to be alone all of a sudden. If you have this character structure, you need to see the world the way it is, not by your first initial experience, and looking for help if you feel like you don't belong here, like this is not the place where you should be. Is definitely a thing to do. I'm curious to see what you guys think, and have you ever heard about character structures? And the next time we're going to do the second one, and I won't tell you yet which one that is, but I'm really looking forward to it, and it's something that really helped me in my life, so hopefully it will bring some knowledge to you as well. Anyways guys, I hope you loved this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye!